Hi there, my name's Kelly. As a hobby, cook meats, smoke meats, and a few other things. And I had just got done um, cold smoking some bacon, and I had done a test piece after I had cured it. And I thought it was okay, but after my long cold smoke and my sit, I did a test piece after slicing it. Here is some of it. I noticed that the salt was just completely off, and it just wasn't salty at all. It had a wonderful sweet flavor. It was an apple bourbon flavor for my bacon as well as my buckboard bacon, but again, the salt was just completely off. There just wasn't any. And so I looked around the internet and I just couldn't find anything that told me how to add salt back in. And so I messed around with it, and I'm posting this for you because again, there was nothing out there to help me figure out what this is or how to add salt back in. So what I did is I soaked the buckboard as well as the regular belly in 8 cups of water, and I did a fourth of a cup of kosher salt, mixed it around, let it soak for an hour. And it was a lot better, but I still think it could be a little bit better. So my recommendation is to do the same ratio, but actually increase the salt by a fourth of a cup. So do 4 cups to 1/4 cup salt, kosher salt, and let it sit maybe for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I think that actually does the nice, perfect saltiness. There were a couple side issues. One of them being I lost a lot of the sweetness. It was very sweet before. It was wonderfully sweet, but I lost quite a bit of it, especially in the buckboard. But the regular bacon still had a good amount of sweetness to it. But then when I pulled it, clearly it's just saturated with water. So when I first started to cook it, there was a lot of moisture, water that was being drawn out. I tried, as you know, I thought I did a good job of removing a lot of the water, but I didn't. So my recommendation as well would be to pull it and then do layers of paper towel and bacon, and then paper towels, and then let it actually soak up for a little bit. So here's what all my stuff looks like. And so this is buckboard as well as regular bacon. And that is salted water. I don't know. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll post the results, and we'll go from there. So here you can see my super scientific notes, but kosher salt, mix water, and those are really the only ingredients outside of the bacon. Here was some leftover that I had soaked. You can see it's a little damp still compared to the cured and cold smoked. So we're gonna try to remove a little bit more of that through this drying process, and then we can package it and good to go. Okay, so right here I have 8 cups of water, and I'm gonna do one more 4 cups. So we'll have 12. And then I've already poured out 3/4 of a cup of kosher salt here. So we're gonna dump that in. And now we mix and dump. Try to mix it as much as you can. I mean, kosher salt's pretty crystallized, pretty big chunks. But I didn't want to do warm water, which would have broken it down quicker. But just give it a good minute. You'll be fine. You can just let it settle down and see where you're at. Still pretty cloudy. So at this point, I am going to dump in my bacon, and I'll go from there. So you can see here the water's clear. I mean, it's pretty mixed. And then I have my bacon here. What we have is just over 3.5 pounds of bacon. And so that will go in, and we'll let that sit for about an hour and a half. So I'm just going to dump it in. And we'll make sure it's just kind of all mixed around here so that nothing is stuck together. And I got to do this one more time with the buckboard bacon. So this buckboard I just weighed. It was just shy of 4 pounds. It was 3.14, 3 pounds 14 ounces. And so at this point, we'll just kind of let these soak for an hour and a half and give it a test cook. If it's too salty, you can always just put this back in just regular fresh cold water for an hour. I would do it in half an hour increments, and you can draw out the saltiness. But from everything else that I've done, I will probably be very happy. Stay tuned. So at this point, it had its long soak. I've already dealt with one of them. I drained the buckboard. It's over here drying. I'll show you what I did. And so I am going to get this one drained. I did not rinse it. I didn't want to remove any of the extra salt from the bacon. So I have a colander here, and I'm just going to get it going. Yeah, I can't do that and hold this at the same time. I'll be back. So I'm going to drain this in here. So this is the belly. This is the regular bacon. And I've already done a test piece of both of them, and I really, really liked it. So let this drain out. Again, I'm not going to rinse it because I don't want to remove any extra, but I do want all this water gone. So at this point, what I've done over here is I have just layers of the bacon and paper towels, and so really it's just a matter of taking the time to get it all out there, and then something like that. A couple layers of paper towel. It's a waste of paper towels, but it's not really a waste since we're needing it. And then I'm just going to continue on with the layers, and I'll show you when I'm done. So at this point, we have the raw bacon paper towel lasagna. So we just have layers and layers between bacon and paper towels. And I've pushed down on it quite a bit. We've got the two here. Again, just trying to draw out all that water that it was soaking in. And at this point, I've let it sit for a few minutes, and to me, it looks good. I like the way it looks. That moisture is gone. And so now it's time to just package it up. So a couple things, I guess, that I've learned through this is make sure you always test your bacon. You like your flavor before you put it on the cold smoker. That's a good tip. As for this worked really well. I'm actually really happy with the way it turned out. A couple of the disappointments just being I lost a lot of that sweetness. Again, this was sitting for 2 weeks in a homemade applesauce bourbon brine, and it had an amazingly sweet appley bourbon flavor when I started, and it was pretty smoky, but it just wasn't salty. And now I've lost a lot of that sweetness and a lot of the bourbon, and quite a bit of the smoke. But I like the saltiness now. I think it's got a really good saltiness. I guess next time some alternatives that you could do. In your brine, you could add a little bit of liquid smoke to put some of that back in. You could also add some bourbon into your water. I mean, why not? And that way you can kind of just infuse your raw meat with those two more things. Personally, I think I would rather do the bourbon. I don't want to add the liquid smoke. That's just me. But I'm happy, and thanks for watching. If you have any comments, tips, this was not scientific. I didn't go by weight or amount or anything else. It was just trial and error for me. But hopefully this helps you as it's helped me. And thanks for watching.